Welcome to Stewing the Pot. Dexter is a big hit TV show, and several new series have spawned from its success. But that's not the only thing that the show has spawned. A man by the name of Mark Twitchell was inspired by the TV show as well. Mark believed he too has a dark passenger. Join us on Stewing the Pot as we go into the mind of Mark Twitchell and into Dexter's laboratory.
Hello, everybody. This is Greg Stewart with Stewing the Pot, and today we have an amazing podcast for you in reference to the form of true crime. In particular, it's kind of its own weird spin-off of the TV show Dexter, and I'm talking about Mark Twitchell. Mark Twitchell is a wannabe real dark passenger Dexter character. He actually utilized the platform of the TV show to create his own version of his dark passenger. And that's what this particular podcast is about, to connect you as a life coach on his psychology and how does someone build up to something like this to do what he does by the influence and inspiration of the Dexter TV series. Now, before we go any further, please like, subscribe, and share this true crime Stewing the Pot podcast. I appreciate it. It's really helping the growth, and I thank you again very much. Now, let's get into the story. Mark Twitchell, the Dexter Killer.
Mark Twitchell's been dubbed the Dexter Killer because of the numerous links between the television series and the real-life crime that he eventually would commit. The story begins in October 2008. Mark lived in Edmonton, Canada, and in the words of Dexter, "Tonight's the night." Mark put an ad on a site, and he made a connection with a man. Mark and the man not to be named let the man know that he would be there in a minute, and that the garage would be open, and to just make yourself comfortable. As the man looked around, he all of a sudden would feel himself get hit from behind. The man, now on his back from the blow, managed to roll over, and he looked up only to witness the very large man looking down on him in a scary painted hockey mask.
So imagine at this moment, imagine that you're going out to meet someone, you find them on one of these sites, Tinder, Bumble, what have you, and they tell you off the bat, I have the garage door open. There might be a sofa in there, some place to sit down, whatever it is. I'm doing a couple things. And you go to meet them at some warehouse. So there is no extension. There's this, either way, you just see this garage and it opens up, or it's already open as it stated. And you're walking around. Would you even go? Would you even go there? I don't care if it's illuminated, if it's lit up, or if it's dark. We're going to meet in a warehouse, or we're going to meet in a garage as stated there. Wouldn't that put a red flag to you? I know for me, it definitely would. I would definitely say, this is a little odd, and I'm not going to go in here. I'll wait till I see the person. I'm obviously going to see them. They're going to wonder if I'm lost, come outside, or what have you. So in this case, this person didn't do that. They obviously go in, and boom, they're hitting the back of the head. And as they're holding their head, they roll back to their back. And then there's this huge person standing over them. And he's in a hockey mask. So you know at this point, you're dazed and confused. But when your brain is coming back to you, all of a sudden, you know things aren't going to turn out so well. So I ask you, now the question had one way for you. What would you feel? What would you see? What would you think? Wouldn't you see some red flags? Go ahead and put that in the comment box in reference to what you're now about to experience, because you didn't notice any red flags. You just went in and said, okay, and now you're in this predicament. Let's find out how the story continues.
The man in the mask would say to the man, "Don't get up," and proceeded to put tape over his eyes. Now the man is blinded by the tape, and he hears the sound of keys and begins to wonder what's next. All I knew at this point was, I have to fight. I bounced up and noticed his gun. I grabbed it only to realize that it was plastic. I managed to punch him, but it had little effect. And then it dawned on me. When he hit me from behind, it was a stun baton, and I still felt weak. But I managed to get outside of the garage, but I still felt very weak, and I can hear him behind me chasing me down. He tackles me and starts to drag me back towards the garage. I kick away with everything I got, and I get to my car, open the door, and I manage to get away. But I decided against making a report.
So now the man escapes. He's safe. He's driving. He decides not to make a report. What would be the reason not to make a report? Fear that he found me, he knows my name, he may come looking for me, but he still knows that information. What's to stop him from not doing this? But fear is a powerful thing after all. Fear, false experiences appearing real, only this experience was real. So therefore, it's going to make you act a certain way, which is exactly what happens, right? He doesn't connect with the police. He says, maybe it's because I found him on one of these sites. I'm looking for a man. He's a man. How am I going to be judged? How am I going to be criticized? You know, are they even going to believe me? So that's the connection here. That's what's happening in reference to this person's train of thought. Now, let's reverse it. Matt almost committed his first kill, but he got sloppy. He did some things, and thank God he did because this other person was able to get away. But what is Matt thinking? Does he know where my warehouse is? He drove here. Is the warehouse in someone else's name? Is it so cleaned up so well that there's no indicators in case this man did decide to connect and say, look, I was here. This person did this. They were wearing this mask. What is this going to lead up to? Or is Matt like, I'm so good. I've covered my tracks. I'm Dexter, and my dark passenger protected me so well that I'm going to be just fine. Let's find out as the story goes on.
The man survives, and he is so nervous that he deletes any and all contact information. I just wanted to disappear and not leave a trace. And then I started wondering, did I exaggerate this attack? Regardless, I am not going to report this. And by not reporting this, Matt would prepare for his next victim. He would put the same information on the dating and meetup sites, not worried about any repercussions at all. If anything, he was even more excited. And not too long after, Mark would get that chance to see if he learned from his mistakes. He met a man online by the name of Johnny Alteringer, and using the same method of operation and making slight adjustments, Mark would succeed in his first kill. And when it came to Johnny, family members knew he had a date, but they didn't know with whom or where he met him. Eventually, Johnny's brother would get an email from Johnny saying, I met this person, and we have so much in common, and we are going to Costa Rica, but I will be in touch. This was a major red flag for Johnny's brother, because this behavior was so out of character for him. Johnny's brother told several of Johnny's friends, and one of his friends took it upon himself to break into Johnny's home, only to find his passport and his home, which is always very clean, was a wreck. With the new findings, Johnny's brother and his friend went to the police station with their information, and an investigation was launched.
All right. So now we're connecting on all the dots, but we're not. We have some clues, we have some things, and the biggest clue comes now because what ends up happening is that after the brother tells his brother Johnny's friends what happened to Johnny, that we have no idea where he is, well, they said, you know what? He did tell me where he was going to be. And where he was going to be was this place. And this place is over here, and this garage is there. And if we were to find Johnny, this was the address that he had given us. So now they tell this to the police investigate, and from this point, they get to meet their first and only suspect, Mark. But they don't have anything yet, so they're just inquiring. And at this point, we're going to find out what Mark tells the police to show that he's innocent or not so innocent. We're also going to break into the next question in reference to what we have so far, in reference to this crime, in reference to Mark, and what kind of behavior are you sensing here? When you see someone that is so passionate, but with the darker things in life, what goes through your mind? Do you think like, well, they just like really horror stuff, or he's really a Dexter fanatic, or does this spark red flags to you? Now, again, this was a amazing show back in the day, and they just re-released or put out, I should say, Dexter Resurrection. So, and it's done this way, and there's other spin-offs too, because Dexter has made this kind of interpretation, this kind of impression to people. But can you recognize when you see someone that has taken it to another level, or have you ever met or knew someone that has taken something that would normally be okay, it's cool, but it's a little scary how much you like it? Would that post a red flag to you, or just this is what they're into? So let us know in the comments. But in the meantime, here comes your next question as we move on to the garage investigation, because they now have whereabouts from the friends of Johnny who mentioned this to the police, and now the investigation really begins.
As days passed, the first victim, we can call him Mr. X, the one that got away, was watching television when he heard a person was missing in the warehouse area of Edmonton, and if anyone had any whereabouts of Johnny, would you please come forward? Mr. X decided to come forward and talk to the police in reference to Mark Twitchell, and they were puzzled on why he did not come in sooner. But Mr. X stated that he was afraid to come forward, and he felt that at the time no one would believe him. Thanks to the tip and location from Mr. X, the police found the garage, and they traced the address to Mark Twitchell, and they scheduled an interview to confirm the ownership of the garage and to notice his reactions when asked about Mr. X and if he knew or have seen Johnny. Mark would deny the connection to any of the men. The police also found out through their investigation that Mark purchased a red vehicle that fit the description of Johnny's car. Mark originally told the police that he knew nothing about a red car. He later would change his story in reference to the red car and stated that someone on the street sold it to him for $40. And if that didn't top things off, a woman out of Ohio by the name of Renee was aware of Mark's production. They met online and they both shared a love for the TV show Dexter, and Mark told Renee about his production. The storyline would play out to the recent crime, with similarities in the way that he lured Mr. X in the garage, and the only difference was that the killer would use a sword to slay his victim. Later, Mark would confess in so many words to Renee that he did one of the worst things someone can do in reference to a crime, and I liked it. And Renee said to herself, "It has to be death. I mean, what could be worse than death?" The police also knew Mark had a family, but Mark would continue to flirt with Renee. Renee would hear on the news about the recent event of crimes in Edmonton and contacted the Edmonton police in reference to her suspicions about Mark and how he would try to entice her to be a part of his film known as House of Cards. The police had enough information that they felt that they can now set up a trap for Mark. This help also came into play by getting Mark's wife to give them access to Mark's computer. After they told her about their investigation, she would cooperate fully. It is in the computer they found files under a folder named SK Confessions, also known as Serial Killer Confessions, which would lay out his entire plan of action. The police would go undercover and meet Mark at a coffee shop. It is there where they would spring their trap, and Mark would be arrested and sentenced to first-degree murder.
All right, so welcome back. Mark, the Dexter wannabe, captured, caught, thanks to the assistance of Renee, Mark's wife. and a very good investigation in reference to this case. What were the red flags that came up on you? What would you see if you were out there and you seen someone with a behavior such as his? Would you look for compulsions, or is he just a fanatic or just really into it there? Because they don't really tell you the man behind, the wife basically, or the man connected to the wife. But we do know that he was connecting to people that were in the film business per se in reference to Renee. So he would tell her stories and they would go back and forth. I love Dexter. I love Dexter. She's seen it as a show. He's seen it to the next level, to the next extreme. And so these are the compulsions. These are the things that we want to break in. How would you know if you've seen someone like him talking about that? Well, one of the key things, like when I watch Zodiac documentaries, was people that knew the one person, Lee, that they were looking into. They said he would always make comments. It wasn't just enough to have a fantasy or something to connect about. Yeah, imagine that. Like one of the big things was man is the deadliest game. It's the deadliest catch. So killing a man would be, you know, the best. And so, yeah, but that's just a movie, right, Lee? Well, no, they are the greatest animal to try to go after, or things of that nature. I don't know how it was actually worded, but things like that. Would that be a red flag if someone is saying, I'd like to do this or I'd like to do that, in reference to saying, well, maybe that guy has to really be looked at. So little things like that. Now, in the sessions, I've had people with anger management. I've had people with many different areas of concern in reference to life coaching, but never had to the point. I did have people that said, I want to beat someone up. Do they get put in this category? I really want to hurt that person physically, but I wouldn't want to see them dead. They would always mention something like that. So again, what would put red flags for you? Did you ever have anyone that put a red flag in your mind and you said, hey, this person I had to watch out for? And I certainly did. Maybe they did some crime that you knew of and you've seen them on the news, this, that, or what. So again, put in the comments because they help everybody out there. Hey, I thank you for coming in today and listening to this show. Day or night, we're always going to be here for you. Click on subscribe, like, and share. Really like you to help the podcast continue to grow. And until the next time, I'll see you for the next podcast in reference to stewing the pot. Thanks again.